Top 10 cities with the highest property prices. The following are the 10 cities with the highest property prices in the world. Where would you live if you lived in any of these cities? Let's get started. Number 10. Singapore, $13,750 per square meter. We know how you feel about Singapore. There are nearly 6 million people living in this city-state. After Macau and Monaco, Singapore is the third most populous sovereign state in the world. There are 19,910 people per square mile. Singapore has the highest living costs in Southeast Asia. For a typical city apartment, you'll need around $3,500 a month. A square meter of rice costs approximately $13,750. Nearly $1.7 million is the cost of a 120 square meter apartment in Singapore. Number 9. Tokyo, Japan, $13,800 per square meter. The capital of Japan is the Tokyo metropolis. Almost everything in the country is centered there, and its metropolitan area is the most populous in the world. There are nearly 14 million people living in the metropolis without even counting tourists. An overcrowded metropolis can be challenging to live in, but Tokyo's technology and hospitality make it an incredible place to live with an incredibly low crime rate, ranking on high on the Safe City Index. Tokyo's metropolitan area costs about $4,750 per month to rent a place. To buy one, you would have to pay $13,800 per square meter. To own a 120 square meter apartment here, you'll need $1.65 million. Number 8. Paris, France, $14,000 per square meter. Paris is one of the world's most populous cities. It combines history and the modern era in a way that no other city can. There are many people who dream of living or even visiting this beautiful place. And why wouldn't they? There's almost everything to do in the city, from history to culture to fashion to cuisine to sports. There are 55,000 people per square mile in our city. The apartment rent in Paris is $5,500 per month, which is a high cost. The average cost of a city apartment here is around $14,000 per square meter. It costs around $1.7 million to own a 120 square meter apartment. Number 7. Vienna, Austria, $14,500 per square meter. We are almost halfway through the list, and it seems like that the capital city falls in the gaps. Aside from being the capital city of the country, Vienna is the largest city in Austria. The primary city has nearly 2 million residents, so there are 11,205 inhabitants per square mile here. Here's something interesting to know. Besides Berlin, Vienna is the second largest German-speaking city in the world. It is commonly known that Vienna is the city of music. Some of the world's legendary musicians have lived in this part of the world. A number of legendary musicians worked here, including Johann Strauss, Franz Schubert, Anton Webern, and Louis Austin. To live in this prestigious city, you need to at least $3,000 to rent a place for a month. If you were looking to own a place in the city of Vienna, you should know that the buying price is about $14,500 per square meter. Therefore, you'll need around $1.75 million to buy an apartment of 120 square meters. It was a real surprise to discover that Vienna's property is more expensive than Paris's. Number 6. Geneva, Switzerland, $15,500 per square meter. You guys know how much we love Switzerland and especially Geneva. Nearly 200,000 people live in the city that is the only 6 square miles wide. A square mile has 30 inhabitants and a population density of 30 mm. On the top, places where billionaires hide their money and the headquarters of the United Nations and Red Cross are located here. The cost of renting a decent apartment in Geneva is around $5,000 per month. It would cost around $1.85 million to own one, assuming your pop is 120 square meters. Number 5. Moscow, Russia, $16,000 per square meter. The population of the city of Russia is over 12 million and it has a population density of 12,575 people per square mile. It makes Moscow the most populous city in Russia and 11th most populous city in the world. The architecture of Moscow, especially its historic buildings, is well known. Its snubbing of St. Basil's Cathedral that I found most fascinating. I was surprised by the color domes of city's skyline as the day began. Additionally, it has the largest urban forest in the world. Getting closer to nature is one of the healthiest things you can do for your body. You need around $5,000 to rent a decent apartment in the city area of Moscow to live this way. To own an apartment with an average size of 120 square meters and buying a price of around $16,000 per square meter, you need nearly $2 million. Number 4. New York City, United States, $18,500 per square meter. New York City is known for many nicknames, but most people around the world it is the Big Apple. Back in the 1920s, where did the name come from? As a reference for city's popularity and achievement in horse racing, Fitzgerald called New York the Big Apple. The nickname was made popular by an advertisement in 1917. It costs about $18,500 per square meter to buy a typical 120 square meter apartment. Therefore, to buy one, you need $7,250 per month. To rent one, you need $7,250 per month. Number 3. Hong Kong, $25,500 per square meter. In our list of cities with the highest property rates, China, Hong Kong is third. The $25,500 per square meter for apartment purchases. To live in Hong Kong, you would need around $7,000 for a monthly rent or $3 million for a purchase. This is the average apartment size of 120 square meters. When compared to the other cities in Asia, that is a staggering number. Hong Kong is a haven for billionaires looking to preserve their wealth. There's also competition to get a place to live here against billionaires and millionaires. The number of people living in the Hong Kong today is over 7 million, so you have to compete with them as well. The population density of 17,024 inhabitants per square mile is fairly high. Number 2. London, United Kingdom, $34,500 per square meter. In Greater London, there are nearly 9 million people, making a population density 14,219 people per square mile. Tourists and international students are not included in the number. As a result, it is not surprising that a London apartment will cost you around $11,000 per month. However, according to the UK government data, there are places in central London with monthly rental costs of only $2,000. This is due to the availability of more affordable housing for Londoners. In addition to size of a typical city apartment of 120 square meters and the price of $34,500 per square meter, nobody knows where those places are. One apartment in London costs more than $4 million. Number 1. Monaco, $60,000 per square meter. Monaco is a dream city with the most expensive real estate in the world. A small area located on the edge of Mediterranean Sea beyond the hills of France is Monaco. The area is less than 1 square mile wide and there are fewer than 40,000 people living here. There are, however, some of the wealthiest people in the world among these 40,000 people. There is no problem with them renting apartments in Monaco and they do not mind paying $60,000 per square meter for them to buy. It costs more than $7 million to buy a decent 120 square meter apartment in Monaco. There will only be an increase in that number with celebrities being made.